Welcome to Voices of the Plaza, the podcast, hosted by Peggy MacArthur. This is where we amplify stories of empowerment, innovation, and success from the heart of the Global Business Plaza. Each week, Peggy introduces us to one of the creative business people, entrepreneurs, and industry experts who are shaping their fields and redefining success. Together, we'll explore unique journeys, highlight remarkable expertise, and uncover the inspiration behind their success.
And welcome, everyone. My name's Peggy, and I am so excited to do our first live podcast here at Voices of the Plaza. And I am joined with Raven, the podcast maven, today. So we are going to have a ton of fun. So first, Raven, before we get started, I have to tell a funny story that I didn't even tell you that I was going to tell, okay?
Oh no.
So I told Raven about the podcast. Now Raven has a big history in media. She's been the radio personality and just done tons of things for years. So she's quite the honor to have on the first show. But when I told her I was doing the podcast, she texted me. She's like, Peggy, I would love to be your psychic. And I was like, what is she talking about? And she said it 3 or 4 times until finally I realized that autocorrect corrected psychic to psychic. So my husband and I are watching Dune, the prophecy. So I'm like, is she talking about being my truth sayer? Like, what's going on? Anyway, so this is Raven, my sidekick. But she's going to be helping me. Yeah, she's going to be helping me co-host, and we're going to have a lot of fun. But today, let's talk about you, Raven.
Okay.
So I know you were on CNN, CBS. I mean, you have quite the history. So tell us a little bit about how your journey began and how it unfolded to this point.
Oh yeah. Well, first of all, this is so great. This is like a dream come true. Finally being here with you, because you and I were going to interview each other last year and it never happened. So now to be here and also be your co-host, I'm like a little kid. I'm so excited. But my story actually started in 2006. And I was at the hospital in the ICU unit with my mom. And she had to have a major operation. And she was supposed to be there 10 days. She ended up being there 6 months. But one night, her first 3 weeks, I was on a conference call. There was a guy by the name of Alex Mendosian, and he said that the quickest way to become an expert is to interview other experts. And there was this real cool thing called podcasting. And you did not have to have an FCC license, and you could just get on a free conference call line, invite an author, speaker, or someone you admired, ask a question, zip it, ask the next question, zip it, and post it up on what they call podcast platforms. He gave out a couple, and he said, and you could possibly have hundreds of thousands or millions of people listening to you. And I grabbed a piece of paper, I drew down the middle of it, what do I need to do and where do I begin? And that's when Women Power Talk radio show started about 12 weeks later. This was on February 6th when everything happened. It was probably a little bit longer. April 23rd is when I launched my first show, From the Kitchen Table. And now that's become Amazing Women and Men of Power Network. We have an iHeart branded radio station called Power Me Up Radio Talk 24/7. And we have about 8 TV channels on Roku and Amazon Fire under Raven International TV and Careers from Home and so many other names. And now we have the Profitable Podcaster Agency, and people, they come to our agency, they get a podcast, radio, TV show, and a whole bunch of other stuff. And we're all AI, powered by AI now. So we got all the cool AI tools. But it all started for the moment that I was in the ICU unit of the hospital. Unfortunately, my mother passed 6 years later to the exact date.
Wow.
She went in February 6, 2006. She passed February 6, 2012. But she was 6 years out of the hospital, and she got a chance to see me, her daughter, who at that time was 55 years old, making $10 an hour, working 20 hours a week, Peggy. That was it. always borrowing money from her and all that stuff. And that was when tell everybody I had to step up, show up, and grow up. And, really look at myself in the mirror and say, look, mom is in the hospital. I felt like she was going to make it, but I felt like she was going to be different. And she was. She was in a wheelchair. And I knew that that was my time to, step up and be the daughter that she had raised me to be. And my parents had a chain of restaurants. So I knew I had an entrepreneur spirit. And then a show up, I knew that I couldn't drag my feet because my mother needed me down. She only had Medicare, and we found out if you didn't have Medicare and Medicaid, you were for a whole lot of money. They would get you in the hospital and ship you out quicker than a minute. So that was really heartbreaking for me. Then I knew I had to grow up in the sense of I had to stop giving reasons why I was not as successful as I should have been. I mean, my mother them raised me in the best homes, went to the best schools, dressed me in the best clothes. So I was set up for success. And I'd come to the restaurants afterwards, and they put us in all these little schools, acting school, and all this stuff. And it just, I had no interest. So and I always use excuses. People won't do this for me. Nobody will give me a chance. And the grow up part was to look in the mirror and say, you can do it. If it's meant to be, you can do it. But you're going to have to do some work. You're going to have to stop blaming everybody. And you're just going to have to step up. And you're going to have to put your skates on because you can't drag your feet at the age of 55. Here I am 70, I'll be 74 in April, and this will be 19 years in the business. So it's been a journey, but it's been a blessed journey. And I'm sure glad my mother got to see me make that pivot and that U-turn in life before she passed away.
Oh, I love that story. And I like what you said. We can't make excuses. We have to take that responsibility. I always tell
Yeah.
people, if you have a desire to do something, you already have everything you need inside of you.
Yes.
You have to find it and pull it out and craft it and polish it and get it ready to work. But you got it. You got everything it takes. If you have a dream, you have everything inside of you right now that you need to make that dream happen. So, you just
got to do it.
Go out there and do it. Exactly.
Yeah. And be ready for the falls and the failures, but be willing to fail your way to success, because it's not going to be a smooth road. Hardly, I won't say it's not, but hardly ever is it just a smooth road. But there has been for some, and for those we say, hey, wish it could happen to me. But for most of us, it's going to be an uphill battle. It's going to be some good, bad, and ugly of our journey. But I think when you are preactive, and you're always thinking, not talking negatively, but just having backup plans and knowing, okay, if this was to happen, I'll do this. I have been out on videos so many times, and my computer crashed, and I've had some of the big, big, big guests on, like Jack Canfield or Mark Victor Hansen, people like that. And the craziest stuff happens on your biggest times. You better know it. Don't they, Peggy? The
Oh yeah.
craziest stuff happens, but you got to be ready. The show must go on. And I got to tell you, when I went from podcasting to my first live show on terrestrial radio, which was at that time CNN, um, that's when I found out, there wasn't going to be a chance of editing. It was raw. And you better be ready for anything. You got to have a sense of humor. You got to know how to go from something terrible happening to, just making a joke out of it or something. Oh my God, guess I need some more coffee or something. You better be quick on your feet. That was one of the best lessons I learned in broadcasting, really, because I think podcasting, we get so into editing. Oh, I'm going to take this out. Before you know it, an hour, 2 hours later, you're still editing things.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And people get caught up on, and I think what people don't realize is sometimes those mistakes are exactly what somebody needed. Somebody needed to realize, oh, Peggy really sucks on camera, and yet look, she's doing great things. Like I can do better than her. I can, and
I
it
think
makes you
people
more
feel like,
relatable.
okay, if it happened to them and they kept going, I can do it. Because
I
I
can do
think
it.
sometimes, especially as coaches, authors, speakers, and business people, we try to make sure we dot all our I's and cross all our T's and be perfect and take out the ums. But it doesn't make us as authentic. People, especially nowadays, maybe back when I started in 2006, you had to be that way. I mean, you had to take Toastmasters and walk to the right and do this and all that stuff. It was overwhelming trying to do all that stuff. And I think live streaming and all the things that we do now, we're also free to be ourselves because we only want to attract the right people to us anyway, right? Everybody's not going to love us. Everybody's not going to like us. So if you just focus on, the people you really want to reach, the audience that you have so much passion for, and you're tuned in to what their pain is but also what
Mhm.
their joy is, it makes a big difference because you can just block everybody else out. Everybody else is welcome to come, but you know who your audience is, and
Mhm.
your audience knows you as long as you be real to them and keep the authenticity out there. Yeah.
I just remembered that I have people watching us live commenting. So I was flashing up some of our comments. Hey Gary, hey G, thanks for participating in our conversation. We love to see you guys. But Raven, you are very similar to me in actually a lot of ways. But this one thing I want to talk about.
Okay.
Not only have you had a great career of your own, but you also love to help other people.
Mm,
And I was told many years ago that I was an enabler, which is a very negative thing, right? But
yeah.
I kind of put a spin on that, and I said, actually, I'm an empowerer, and
There
I love
you
to
go.
help people. I love to help people succeed, and you're the same way. You have this whole network where if people are trying to get into podcast or trying to get into this media world, you have memberships, you have things and packages that you can actually help them, and you have your own show, you have your own platform that you can host these things on. So why is it, what drives you to help people? Like, what, tell me about that.
That's a very good question. I think what really drives me to help the people that I want to help, which are, I call them my fellow Casparians, because I've always felt lesser than, dismissed, overlooked. No matter how hard I tried in school, it was just like I was passed over a lot. And as I grew older, it really held me back. It made a very extrovert person more of an introvert person, if that makes any sense. So once I launched my show and we started getting awards and having success, and I left CBS and CNN, that's when I decided, okay, I'm going to go ahead with the help of my now husband, Khalik. Hey, baby. um, that we were going to start our own podcast network. And I wanted to get people that felt lesser than, that felt like the best kept secret in their niche. I wanted to help them come out from the shadows and into the spotlight. I felt their pain because I was living their pain. And in return, I would be helping myself. And so it just grew from that. People started hearing about me, they started coming, and I started attracting people that felt exactly how I did. And people that had held so much in and they were ready for their voice to be heard, but nobody would put them on their stage. Nobody would invite them to the radio show. And they were going through the same thing that I went through. And then from that, I developed the attitude of don't wait to be great, do it now. Don't wait for somebody else to give you permission to succeed. First, you have to give yourself permission to succeed and let the world know you are out there. When I started, we didn't have all this. Podcast was so new. We actually had to go to Wikipedia and read to people what a podcast was, okay, before we could even get anybody interested. But now with everything that's going on, there's nothing holding people back. And so that's my story and I'm sticking to it. And fellow Casparians, hey, I see you.
I love it. So tell me, when was there like one moment where it snapped that you were like, I can actually make a career out of what I love doing, what I'm passionate about. I can leave my $10 an hour job and I can actually do this and I love it. It was there a moment where it was like, yeah, this is going to work?
Yeah, but it wasn't because I was thinking that way. Someone had referred, she's now a very good friend of mine named Carla to me. They had referred her. And when she got to my website, first thing she noticed is, okay, this is a nice website. Her voice sounds black, but there's a white picture on there. I'm a little confused on that. And then she started looking at, where's her products? Where's her services? There's nothing on her site that leads me to a sale. So she actually reached out to me and she helped me. She helped me in getting a website. She told me, you should put your picture up there. And then she says, now let's talk about the money. You have nothing on here. Let's sell a commercial. So she kind of schooled me on there and she hired me, paid me, I think it was like $1,500 to host a webinar. It was Carla Carter and her celebrity friends because she's in that world. And so we did 4 weeks where I hosted her show. So that's where I made my first money, and then commercials and stuff. So thank you, Carla, because she definitely was the one that led me there.
Love that. I love that. So, what surprised you the most in your journey? Like when you started your idea of what this was going to look like
Hmm.
to where you are now. Like, what are some of the things that surprised you the most?
What surprised me, one of the things that surprised me the most was that if you ask for help in the right way, more people were willing to help you than you thought. So it really does well, from my case, it really did show me that it wasn't other people that were holding me back. It was myself holding me back because of being an introvert or kind of shy or feeling like Casper. I tried to do everything on my own. So people were looking at, okay, she got this. And I never asked for help. But the very first time I did ask for help, then I found out more people were willing to help me. It's like, oh, okay, yeah, I was wondering about that. I can show you. But what I did was I didn't feel like I wanted to just ask for help because I do pride myself on being a giver more than a taker, much like you. Okay. And so what I did is I started inviting, even though I wasn't making a lot of money at that time, probably barely 100 a week, not a day. Did y'all hear that? But that ended up being 400 a month. Okay, you got to start somewhere.
Start somewhere.
Yep, you got to start somewhere. But what I did is I started inviting people to virtual lunches, and I would just send them an email and I would just say, who I was and, that I've been following them. And I'd put maybe one or two lines about what I learned from them. And I would say, I would love to invite you to a virtual lunch to really, get to meet you and see how I can help you or service you. And most of the time I would plug into what they were doing. Like if Alex was doing a launch and say, oh, Alex, I've been following you for so and so. I put just a little bit of my story in there so he would know and how he had something to do with my story. And then I said, I know you're doing this launch in March on this. I would love to support you. I have my podcast. At that time, I didn't have a network. And, I'd love to interview you, do any length of time, 7 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, totally up to you. It could be any day, Sunday through Sunday, totally up to you. I will make my schedule work. I love to invite you to a virtual lunch so we can discuss the possibility. And that's how I would do it.
Oh, I love that. I love that. So,
Mm,
speaking of virtual lunches, let's fast forward now to the platform we both are on and love, and obviously that's what the Global Business Plaza is built in.
yeah,
And that's GoBrunch. We are
yeah.
all huge
Go
GoBrunch
brunch. Go brunch.
lovers.
Go brunch.
Um, I know for me, I came to GoBrunch because I was wanting an alternative to the Z platform that is so boring that I left. And but when I got there, I realized it's not really a replacement. It's a whole new, a whole other way of doing things. It's an engagement magnet. It is a community builder. It is all of the different things. So tell me what you do on GoBrunch, because you have some really amazing virtual experiences on your platform.
Yes, yes. In fact, we changed the name of our community, which was Pod Unity Connect, to the Pod Unity Experience, because everybody that came there would leave and say, "Oh my God, this has been such an experience." And when you keep hearing something over and over again, you take it, right? And you're like, "Okay, they're telling me experience. Let's make it the Pod Unity Experience." And I got to give my husband full credit for this, because I always wanted to do a limo coaching program. I did once one here in LA, and I was going to keep doing it, but most of my clients were not in LA. And so it was always like, "Well, I really want to do this, but I don't want to fly and get a hotel and all that stuff." So when we found Go Brunch, I was saying, "Oh my God, I can do a room with a limo and put the little circles in there and do my coaching program." So I sent him the picture and I said, "Look, honey," and it was a picture of me in the circle in the limo, and I had like 4 seats. And the next morning when I woke up, he had the limo moving.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, and then he showed my daughter Jamie how to do it, and now we have a whole platform with cars and airplanes. So my hosts love it. We do masterminds and stuff on the boat, and it's just they love it. They bring their friends and family there, and we have sky bars where the bar is really in the sky that my daughter does it. Everybody has, and jazz players playing there and stuff like that. Wow, it's been amazing, and I love the fact that we're able to do this on Go Brunch, and where they don't need the glasses or any technical stuff for people to come join. They just need to click on a link, and they're like, "Here, like I like your room," So we're able to do these rooms where we bring people in. It's great to get people off of Facebook and LinkedIn into an actual community, because we can text and we can chat, and it's nice, we appreciate it, but it's so much better when you can say, "Hey, this has been great. Hey, I'm going to be over on in my community pod, the Pod Unity Experience. If you guys want to come, I got the limo waiting for you. Just click this link. I can take the first 10 people over there." And so it's really fun when we get an opportunity to do it. 2025, my goal is to have a membership up, coming soon. Okay. And so people have been asking me, "When are you going to open up your membership?" And it's been pretty private with just me and my 25 or 30 hosts that's on my platform. And now we're going to bring it to the public and go actually live on it. So I'm very excited about that.
I'm excited to see all the amazing things that you are going to do, because I've loved everything you've already done, and the creativity and the imagination I just love. And I think it is about experience, because we can teach people, we can tell people, all these things, we can give them great information, but they're going to forget that. But what they're going to remember is an experience. They're going to remember how they felt when they were around us. And when we give them an experience, they're going to retain more of the information that we're teaching them, because, our memories are connected to our senses. And the more senses we can stimulate while we're teaching, the better chance that people have of actually retaining that and applying it to their life and actually moving forward. I mean, you and I both, we want to see businesses. For me, I work with creative business people, but we want to see business people thrive and actually make money doing what they love. Because you know what? It can be draining to be in a place that you aren't happy. And you have all these gifts and talents inside of you. Make money with them.
Make
Make money with those gifts and talents, because that's what you love doing anyway.
Yeah, because after a while, what I find, and I'm sure you find this with your clients, if they're not really making money, they totally lose interest. You know, they start looking at all that they're putting into it financially, and they feel like they're not getting a return. But let me just say this to all of you that may be watching. I always tell my host, don't focus on the numbers so much. Focus on what you're bringing to your audience, what your audience need, what's their pain, what's their joy, what do they need help with, and just show up. It doesn't matter if one person or nobody's there. Sure, we're all human. It's definitely not a boost to our ego, but let me tell you, and I learned this from Alex Mendosian, that as long as you have that on video or audio and you record it, that's the most important thing, next to showing up, is that you hit that record button. Okay, because that way you can multi-purpose and repurpose and multicast that in several different platforms, and then share this out, whether you have one people, 500 people, whatever. Just share it, just leave it there, and trust your gut, trust your content, trust you being you, that the right people will show up and they will contact you. I've had people where there was like one or two people on, and those one or two people, or at least one out of those two people, ended up investing $3,400. So you never know who is watching you. In fact, real quick story, I was on Blab. I don't know if you knew about Blab years ago, but it was like one of the first little video platforms where people were going live and stuff. And I just happened to be on there, teaching the power of your voice and get out there and stuff. And all of a sudden, I just got a message inside. That's why I said follow your gut. And it said, go tell your story. It was like you were teaching too much, Raven. That's basically what it was saying. Share your story and go get your mom's picture. So I went and I got my mother's picture and I held it up and I shared the story of the hospital. And for some reason, this particular day, I just didn't share it. I told the story. And someone typed in the message, OMG, has Oprah heard your story? And I'm like, no. And then they said in the chat, I don't know Oprah, but I know a producer of hers that's been with her, executive producer that's been with her for 12 years. He started his own show, and I'm going to tell him about you. And I got an email from the guy, and he interviewed me. We become really close friends. He was, for the Oprah Winfrey Show. He was one of the supervising producers. So, no, I didn't meet Oprah, but I'm just saying, someone put that in there, and I was able to interview and become friends with someone that worked with her for 12 years. And you never know. I'm still young.
You never know.
It's
You
still on my
never
vision
know.
board. Just saying,
Right?
Oprah.
Yours and
Yeah,
mine. Yours
yeah,
and mine
there you
both.
go. There you go. So, and it's so many things that can happen, and it doesn't matter how many. Just like when I was on CNN, someone, a listener wrote in, and they said, they wrote me on my email, and they said, what's your big dream? And he said, I paint pictures on mirrors. I said, okay, that's interesting. He said, who's the person you haven't interviewed? And I said, I would love to interview not Barack, but Michelle and Barack about their love affair. I just thought it was so fascinating. They were always holding hands, always happy. This is years ago, I think, when Barack first got into office the first time. And so he sent me this picture. He said, okay, he did the picture. He sent it to me in email. And he said, do you like it? He said, okay, I'm going to send it out to you. And I'm going to send a copy to the White House. And he sent me the thing showing that he sent it to the White House. They accepted it. I got the picture on my wall over there where I'm holding a mic, and Barack and Michelle is behind me. We're on the steps in this big fancy place. It's beautiful. I've had it for years. No, I didn't get a chance to interview Barack, but I did end up getting the Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award and a certificate and a presidential pin from Barack Obama. So, you know what I'm saying? And it just happened. You see what I'm saying? So things just go that way. And I had no idea that was what's going to happen. So keep letting your voice, releasing your message on voice, keep showing up, and just focus on your content, because the right people see you, the right people hear you, and you never know where it's going to take you.
I always say in my morning affirmations, I'm so thankful that I'm always at the right place at the right time, ready to take any opportunity that comes my way. And you would be surprised just opening up and looking at the opportunities in front of us. Sometimes opportunities present themselves and we just walk right past them,
We
you know?
do. We
And
do.
so just being aware and ready to take any opportunity. You don't know who knows other people. Like, you don't know what connection, what opportunity may be faced, when you're just kind and friendly and yourself to someone. You don't know who they know and why they're in your path. Maybe they have something, a great opportunity for you, or maybe you're just there to help them through a tough time. Either way, I always want to be aware of opportunities and be willing to take them. So I love that we line up in so many things, Raven. This has been so fun. Thank you for coming and sharing this space with me. And you'll be seeing lots of Raven because she's going to be co-hosting and sometimes just hosting the show while I'm away. So we
I
want
think we
to
should
thank
interview. I think
all
I
of
should interview you next week so they can get to know you and what you've done before we start interviewing all these people. You
There
know,
you go. There you go. Maybe we'll have, I've already got people on the calendar, but maybe we'll have
okay,
to have a special edition
that's
where
what we'll do. We'll have a
Raven
special
interviews
edition
Peggy.
that rolls into the next one. Maybe we can do that so
You
that
bet.
they can get to know your story and stuff. But no, this has been great. I really appreciate it. I'm looking forward to co-host. I'm looking forward to being your sidekick.
Or
Sidekick.
psychic.
I can't even believe you said that. That is so funny. That is so, so funny. But this is exciting. The voices, I mean, voices of the plaza, the podcast, and shoot, we need to bring those voices of the plaza and put them on our TV channels too. So we'll talk about that.
We'll definitely talk about that
Yeah.
because I'm just before we close out because this is our first one. I will just take a little bit and talk about the Global Business Plaza.
Yeah.
The Global Business Plaza is an amazing space for people that are running their business at least part through the GoBrunch platform. And it gives them a place to showcase their businesses and people to be able to find them. We have a searchable directory as well as a cool little place you can just click around and check out what's going on with people, like go in from one store to the next store. But this podcast, I'm going to interview all the people that have a shop at the plaza. All of our shopkeepers will be here telling us every week about their amazing story and what they do and how you can connect with them. So thank you so much for listening to our very first podcast. And we will be here every Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific time. And you can also catch us later wherever you listen to your podcast. So thanks again, Raven. And thank you all for hanging out with
Thanks,
us.
everybody.